Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Sunday to you and your family. One last look here at Bitcoin, helping understand what's going to happen next. At least, hopefully, getting some perspective on if it's going to retrace or if it's going to keep going upwards. It's showing a lot of strength, but this is a weekend once again, and weekends have a tendency of giving us some false positives based on lower volume in most cases. But we've got to recognize too, Bitcoin has had billions of dollars pumped into it, and it is holding very strong. The Bitcoin dominance is coming down a little bit, but for the most part, it's ramped up significantly. And what's great about that, Bitcoin dominance is going up, and altcoin dominance is also increasing. It's a really interesting thing how that works out, but it really just implies that there's a lot of new money. Okay, that's a good sign for the market, Bitcoin, everything, honestly. So we can only celebrate this. Once again, if you're new to the channel though, just know I love teaching people to trade. I've got a trading academy, community, and signal group. If you want to become a better trader, check it out, cryptocash.tech. It's really awesome. We've got phenomenal traders too, by the way. So just want to highlight some cool stuff here. Sonny, you're doing awesome. Keep up the good work. I'm super proud of you. And thanks for mentioning that, you appreciate what I'm doing too, because it's reciprocal, right? We all learn and grow together. It's helpful to have a team dynamic when it comes to trading instead of just being by yourself. I know we're all very independent, but it's not too bad to have slight codependency and helping another person get to where they need to go. So look at this, Austin J turned a significant corner. Keep up the great work, bud. Dot long 20x 411%, and obviously my tried and true Alexandru, awesome community member there. He's one of my admins. Thanks again for all that you do. Okay, so here's the thing when it comes to Bitcoin. I'm just going to jump right in here essentially, and just kind of let you know that we are working within these Fibonacci retracement levels fairly nice, but we're also coming up on a key level resistance here. So we can see here, right here, about 21,500, 21,300, right at that range, we had this resistance shelf that's effectively holding the price action in place right now. So if you take a look here, kind of stretch that out just a little bit more so you can see it. This closure here, this one-day closure here, November 5th, just before FTX, we had this resistance level, the price dropped hard. We've got another resistance level here too. So what could very well happen, and it wouldn't be a cup and handle, of course, because this is the ugliest cup you've ever seen, but we might see a handle pattern coming up here where the price bounces either off 20,500 and or 19,700. I'm hoping more so 19.7, just so we can get out of our short position. But on the same accord, it's due for a correction. Bitcoin has to correct itself sometime soon. And once again, corrections come in different shapes and forms. It could be a slow bleed out, it could be just straight sideways and then leg up again, or it could literally come down a lot harder and faster tomorrow or Tuesday. I'm speculating we're going to see this on Tuesday because tomorrow, Monday, being a traditional holiday here in the States, Martin Luther King Day, we can see that the probability of the price just dropping on Monday would be less likely than it would be Tuesday because profits are typically taken during traditional trading days and hours. That being said, though, it's looking fairly strong, right? But let's look at some big picture stuff here. RSI is up over 70. It hit 89 on the RSI. The last time we saw 89 on the RSI from Bitcoin was back in January of 2021, right when the price action had about a, It was about a 25-30% correction in 3 days, okay? So again, I'm not saying we're going to see a 30% correction from Bitcoin. I'm just saying that, hey, last time we got that overextended, the price action had to pull back and come back a little bit to bounce out the most recent high, or the previous high, essentially. So what we should see here, if it does, history has a tendency of repeating itself, right? The price comes up. We could very well see the price come up and then back down to the most recent high, this level here. Okay, so I do think that 18/19,000 is still probable, but as the days continue to progress and the longer we stay here, the less likely that becomes, okay? But once again, I'm not a proponent for 15,000 or less. I don't really think that that's extremely likely, but I also don't think it's extremely likely for the price just to shoot up further from here based on how far it is in one direction. Because again, what goes up must come down. The harder, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. All those things come into play. But here's the thing we got to recognize too, and this is the interesting thing, because when I opened a short position here recently, we were getting rejected pretty hard at this resistance level at 19,500, right when the price action was hitting it, okay? And that's a 200-day simple moving average. Oftentimes that works as a strong resistance level, and we blew right through that. So here's the thing, if the price were to come back down, that should work as a support level now too. We gotta recognize that. It's kind of a double-sided sword, if you will, which is positive in this sense because we're on the right side of it, but just know it's been a long time since we've been above that, and this is new territory for Bitcoin, essentially within the last 24 no, more so 12 months. And we can kind of say that that is a positive sign nonetheless, okay? That being said, though, a pullback, if it were to occur, should probably pull back to the 19,000 range, between 19 and 20,000. That's kind of my speculation. Again, pullback is not going to be a dramatic red day. I think we're probably going to see a little bleed out, and it's going to come back down eventually. Because it has to, right? We have to calm down this RSI. It cannot go up forever. So anyways, today being kind of a doji candle, kind of a red, just little, ugly candle, that's actually a positive sign in the overall sense of things. So the longer it can go sideways like this, the more likely it is to break to the upside, okay? So we kind of want that, but again, do we really want that depending on how it goes? We would like at a lower price point, right, to average our price out. But there's a lot of different schools of thought. Okay, anyways, let's quit fumbling around. Let's look at the 4 hour really quick, kind of wrap things up here. This is that overextension, that extreme overextension here. We can see right there at 19,300, massive short squeeze all the way up to 21,300. Got rejected off that resistance level. Price has been going sideways ever since. Keep in mind, the majority of this is all weekend, okay? Weekends are a lot different. They behave different. So if we stay at this price point the entire weekend, the probability of a downside from here would make more sense to fill that gap, that correction that we have. Okay, so again, it's one of those things where we got this interesting, it's an interesting scenario here of where we're at here. And another thing too to keep in mind, when I say fill the gap, this is basically Bitcoin futures when it closed. It closed at 19,900, and the price is roughly $1,000 higher than that. So it would make sense that we see a correction down to 20,000 when the market opens to fill that gap. Okay, again, it may not happen right away, but inevitably I think 20,000 would be a likely retest. So why don't we just go ahead and do this here. We're going to just go put in about 20,100. Set an alert there, so if the price comes back down to that level, we look and reevaluate and see if a good long position is viable. That's what I'm looking for. All right, anyways, so that's kind of just on the side there, but overall, 4 hour time frame, still overextended. We've got a MACD divergence here. The price should pull back, and we are at this position right now where if it doesn't pull back, it wouldn't make a tremendous amount of sense. Not that I'm anti-Bitcoin by any stretch, it's just that when we're at this point, this heightened state, it would make sense for us to see a correction. It's only natural. If we don't correct ourselves, then we run the risk of a larger correction later. And that's what I don't want to have. But for the most part, up until Friday afternoon, we had a pretty healthy continuation from Bitcoin. Just this nice up over pattern that's essentially working itself as a staircase. Last thing here on the hourly, let's take a quick peek. We can see, of course, massively overextended once again. That's kind of the narrative here today. And then if we take a look at the ichimoku cloud, we can see that we're starting to average ourselves out here. If you had profits to be taken, they should have been taken a long time ago, because once again, the lagging span intersect with the price action. So if you're still holding a long position open, it might be advantageous to close that because the likelihood of the price pulling back is higher in that regard. Furthermore, too, we're still trending above the cloud, which is positive. We got a nice large upper and lower lead. But that's going to come to an end. The price will naturally be within that if we cruise in here. So if we do close at one point somewhere in the 20,100 range or lower, we should expect further downside because we'll probably be establishing lower highs and lower lows at that point. So again, that's all hearsay, right? For now, we don't know what's going to happen. But in truth, everything's overextended. We're starting to slow down on its momentum, and the likelihood of a pullback would make more sense than an increase from here. While I still want the price to increase, I want Bitcoin to go back up to 6 figures or hit 6 figures initially, right? But we got a lot of room to grow between now and then, and we can't do it all in one day, right? So to me, I don't know. In 3 trading days here, we see a good 20%. That's massive. That's nice. Enjoy it while we can. And if the price were to pull back, I would just welcome it and be ready for it. That's all I'm saying. All right. So we got our alert set. We're going to take a look at this here again tomorrow. Hopefully this made sense and you learned something here today. Obviously you want to learn something more. CryptoCash.tag is a site. I look forward to working with you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you next one.